Very early today, we're heading out, leaving Milwaukee, and on our adventure and journey out to California.
What time is it?
What time is it?
Six.
6 o'clock. Oh my gosh. So Mark said, let's be on the road by 6. I said, right. He doesn't get out of bed till 9:30. So we're doing it though. 6:07, I'm going to go out and unplug the electric, hook up the car, and we're ready to roll.
Let's go.
All right.
Well, here we go. We've been in Wisconsin for about 4.5 months, and it's time to relocate to get the heck out of there. Last year, we stayed maybe about 2 weeks too late, and we ended up almost getting snowed on. But then as we traveled south, we actually did get snowed on because we didn't put enough miles behind us. And in fact, we stopped to visit some good friends and had a great time there. We don't normally ever travel when it's dark. This is actually very early in the morning, and our whole goal is to slide through traffic here, but more importantly, get down the road to a repair facility that we've been to in the past, and we want to slip into the parking lot before the hustle and bustle happens. We're going to Hannah Trailer RV Center. They're a very busy place. The parking lot's a little bit small to be able to negotiate miles in there if we wait too long. So you'll see shortly that we're going to go into the parking lot next to the place and disconnect and then be able to move Myles into the roadway safely. It's always a good feeling to get back on the road again after you sat for a while. It must be the nomad blood in Sue and I. We are, in fact, full-timers that have been at this since June of 2017. I have 20/20 vision. I don't wear glasses, but we never travel at night. This is not night. This is actually early morning. We don't even do that often. We're traveling to get new starting batteries put in my rig. The batteries actually are performing fine, but I noticed that they have a 1-year guarantee on them. They're 3 years old. I'm not a big fan of surprises, so I'm able to book this on my schedule at a place that I know I got enough room to fit in, and that's what we chose to do before we continue on to California.
In a quarter mile, your destination will be on the right.
Sue and I knew this giant parking lot existed because when we first got our rig in June of 2017, we needed one of our air conditioners replaced, and Hannah did that as well as put the tow bar equipment on our Honda and our Air Force brake equipment in the Honda. They did a great job, so of course we're back to spend more money. Last time we were here, I actually backed into the same spot that I'm showing you here now, but we showed up the day prior and stayed overnight all compacted in our rig, snug as a bug, and we were first in line to get that work done. This time we were a little bit braver and stayed in our campground the night before. So this is what it looks like looking forward with the rig closed up. We're at Hannah Trailer RV to get some starting batteries put in. There's the new iPad for navigating. I finally bought it for Sue. Nice. Why don't you open the door? Let me get out of here. We're going to see how well this place keeps their promise to recognize my appointment here to get things done. You can see that we're here before 7 o'clock. We were originally going to stay overnight here. We decided to stay overnight in the campground so we could stay hooked up with both water and electric. This place is really busy. It's a little concerning that they'll be able to get us right away, because God only knows how many rigs are in there already, and they're even stacked up on the outside. Here's what we're here for. Our starting batteries are working fine, but they're 3 years old, and I'm being proactive before we go to a hot climate and tax these batteries further. Being 3 years old, I don't want to trust them. Hopefully I can talk them into at least sweeping this area out a little bit when they put the new batteries in. Hopefully he saw my little sign I had for him that asked him to clean out the battery compartment so the Chan Man doesn't have to do it. This is the exciting and dreaded walk to look at your rig to see if the work you paid for was done properly. I stayed out of their hair. We'll see how it's going. Wow. Looks really good. Little red light, that's my repeater for my tire pressure monitor stuff.
Well, we're finally on our way. We have 20 days ahead of us until we have to be at our reservations in California. We have 13 stops booked. 9 of them will be a 1-day stop, 1 will be a 2-day stop, and 3 of them will actually be 3-day stops. Sue and I had stayed at a Harvest Host prior to having a YouTube channel, so we weren't able to share how awesome staying at that farm was. And so this time we booked 5 stays at different Harvest Host facilities, and we are going to bring you guys along to the first of the one that we're going to right now.
15'1" clearance, 12'9" rig, do the math. It's one way to remove your air conditioner.
When I read the comments a lot of times on the things that people like to see what it's like to drive a Class A motorhome. And I'm sure it's the folks that are thinking about driving it and thinking it might be a little nerve-wracking or nervous. And here you can see I'm going through a pretty easy toll booth where it's done automatically. We had plenty of toll booths that we went through on our way to California where I actually had to pull up and pay, and those are a little nerve-wracking. When you have a self-contained RV and your navigator can use the restroom when they need to, you still have to think about the driver. So what we use the rest stops for, and the truck stops and our fueling stops, is to give me a break to stretch my legs and of course use the restroom myself. So what you're going to see coming up here is how lucky I am to have Sue navigating for me, because she not only looks ahead and tells me what my turns are, but many times if it's going to happen real quick, she even tells me what I have to set up for so that there's no surprises for the Chan Man.
Turn right on Illinois 71, then take the first left.
I'll set up as quickly as I can.
Yeah, set up, because it's going to be your first left. I don't know if it's a
In 1/4 mile, turn left on North 31st Road.
Now this is where you have to start being careful when you book places that are off the interstate and you're driving something that's, 48,000 pounds and 65 feet long. We in the past have wanted to stay at a few different places, and when we looked in the Harvest Host comments,
We in fact saw that others left behind information on bridges that might preclude you from going across because of your weight. What you're going to see coming up here off to the right is a train trestle bridge that we did not have to go under, but our Garmin didn't warn us about this. We did check this route on satellite, so the fact that we weren't worried about it, it was obvious that we didn't have to go under this bridge. But nonetheless, don't think that that can't happen to you where all of a sudden you have to stop and back up, because just like I show here on screen, the driver nightmare, I'm telling you, the pucker factor goes way up when you see something like that. I knew RVing was dangerous.
No warning.
Darn it.
So many ways.
Off to the left here is where most campers would normally stay. There was either between 4 and 6 electric hookup sites there, which is awesome. No water, no sewer. And you'd be right on the field, in the thick of the action, if in fact they had been jumping this day, which by the way was an extremely windy day. It was so windy that any recording that we had done this day we had to discard and do it all over again because the sound was so bad. Now what we did after we parked here, we parked eventually to the left on that gravel you see in the distance in front of that little cabin there, which just happened to be a restroom facility. How you thank the Harvest Host people for allowing you to stay for free is to patronize whatever their business is. Now, obviously, the Chan Man's not going to jump out of one of these planes, but in the write-up, we could see that they not only had a nice bar up above that was closed now because of COVID, but they did have a restaurant with outdoor seating, kind of a cafe thing. So after we checked in, we patronized that. We ended up buying our supper and actually our lunch for the next day for traveling. So it worked out really, really good for us. The best way to describe this place is that it is set up for maximum awesome fun for all of the skydiving enthusiasts that come here. I mean, they check all the boxes. They've got the cafe, they had the runway spectator area, they had the picnic tables that you could sit at, and one plane load after another can go up there. You can watch your friends, you can come back, you can talk about what happened. It's just like a fantasy setup. If I was younger and I lived in this area, I so would have been all over this place. We are here at the end of the season. In fact, it's October 13th, 2020, and that's why, it being a very windy day and a little bit on the cool side, that's why there is no jumping today. What you see in the distance here is the typical Sue and Mark paranoia factor, where we're checking out where we're going, as if you got to do that. I mean, it's flat as a frickin' pancake there, but nonetheless, when you're retired, you got a lot of time on your hands, so that's what you do.
So Skydive Chicago actually has some places we can park that have electric and water, but it's on grassy area. And because we're so darn big, we've decided we didn't really want to do that. So they have another area right across from their main office where it's big enough for us to turn around, and it's gravel, it's solid, and we're much more comfortable with that. So we're boondocking it for the night.
I'm kind of hoping nobody notices here that I sped the video up, otherwise they're going to realize how truly slow I drive. But after we got Myles positioned here, we might have leveled up. I think I only opened one of the slides because we knew we were going to be heading out in the morning. But after we ate our lunch that we had bought at the cafe, we wanted to make sure to get across the street and check out the hangar, because we had a couple of hours yet to walk around the grounds. Inside, what we saw was what a truly awesome and heavy duty place this is for the real McCoy jumpers. It looked like they actually had 3 planes here, and this particular one was undergoing some maintenance. This door above me has got a hinge point in the back right here. But right here's a little chain sprocket mechanism. So this door literally is laying against here. You're in there sitting on the seat, your first time, and you're going, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And all of a sudden this chain starts, and you're looking at the earth, at Mother Earth, and it's your time to jump. So what you're seeing here is the life of a typical YouTuber, because you know what happened? It was so windy I couldn't use a lot of the audio. Fortunately, I had good video.
Thinking of jumping, Mark?
I can tell you what it was like when I did it. When I was 21 years old, me and my friends, we'd always talk about skydiving and jumping out of planes and stuff like this, but we never did it. And I called all my friends up and I said, hey, remember a couple weeks ago when everybody was, talking the talk? I said, we're gonna walk the walk. On this date, Saturday, it's this much money, we're doing it. And we did it. And I jumped out of a Cessna. So this sign here shows one of those things that I really hate when it happens. And I don't really know what I was saying when I was talking here because we can't use the video, but I can tell you that the plane that I jumped out of was actually smaller than this because the door was basically above where the wheel is. And on top of the wheel was a fender that was flat. And what I had to do is I had to hang my legs out of this thing, stand on this little flat wheel fender, put my hands on that strut that goes holding the wing up, and then basically had to push away from it and arch my back and go for the ride that the parachute was going to take me on. Now the parachute was hooked to the plane. It was a static jump, so you could have thrown a bag of meat out of that thing and the parachute still would have brought the meat safely down and you wouldn't have had a problem. What I do want to add here is that I did this probably in about 1971, and up until that point I literally had never been in an airplane. I mean, that's just the way it was back then. So for many years I was able to tell people when they'd say, hey Mark, did you ever take a plane ride? And I'd go, well, I went and took off in a plane, but unfortunately I never landed in it. I jumped out of it. When we were inside touring around, one of the things we discovered is that they'll take a plane load up with, as many as 9 different styles of jumpers so that the plane doesn't have to come back down 9 times. They can let people out at the level that pretty much signifies the skill set that they have. Some of the videos that they showed in here were just fantastic, and I don't want to bore you with 35 minutes of their videos, but it showed us that this place is the real McCoy.
So you can see there's students, and then there's also the experienced that end up coming here. But then beyond that, you've got Mark.
So guess what? It wasn't windy inside here, but they had background music, so once again we can't use that video. What I'm showing here is the main area that they want you to drop in. But when you're up above and you're coming down with your chute, your skill can get you where you need to be, but you're also relying on the wind not pushing you in the wrong direction. And I'm showing this power line here. I can tell you that when I went parachuting, they told us all the particular places that we weren't going to have to worry about, but nonetheless, we were going to talk about. Guess what? The first guy that came down came near the power lines, and the second person in my group that came down near the water where he'd have to jettison his suit before he dropped into the water so he wouldn't drown. So this is particularly important to me here. This horse farm that they point out, You do not move once you land there. Apparently, they're very valuable horses that are there. They've had a couple of issues in the past where, somebody has dropped in there. So it really behooves you, if you want to stay on the good side of the people that are running that place, don't drop into the horse farm. And if you do, stay exactly where you are, and they'll come and fetch you with their equipment. Sue, what about me?
What about you? Oh, you got the sun behind you. You look like an angel.
Excellent. Well, last night was our first night in our Harvest Host series or saga we're starting here. This is actually only the second time we've stayed at a Harvest Host, and it's turned out just as good as the first one. It was kind of fascinating, fun, really different. We're waking up now and got out here extra early today because last night when we arrived here in the afternoon, it was so windy. It was literally like 30 miles an hour winds, and we're not sure how good the audio is going to be. You can see that we parked in a nondescript parking lot, and I'm sure for a lot of Harvest Host people and a lot of Harvest Host stays, you are just going to have only beautiful scenery to pick from. We actually chose the parking lot because we like to be on a hard surface with our rig. We've had friends that are driving a double axle Dutch Star like this, and it's just kind of a sow. It gets stuck pretty easy, so we don't put ourselves in that position. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to this area here, Sue, and we're going to re-record to show you that if you have a smaller rig, or if you're fortunate enough to be pulling your trailer with a 4x4 and you have a lot more capable terrain vehicle, you can just very easily park there, and they actually have electric services. Last thing, Sue, why don't you turn around here? This park here is kind of a destination for not only skydivers, but Harvest Host people that come in to just, participate in the excitement, but you can actually book camping sites way in the back. Now, they're a little bit on the primitive side. There are some that actually have full hookup and electric, but this is kind of an event place that has all sorts of parties and festivals and, obviously parachuting type events. You can see in the distance there's actually a sandy beach. There's a big pond here. Maybe we'll get over there. Really a unique place. Let's go check out the RV area, honey.
All right.
Normally RVs would pull in here and either go around the tree this way. You can see that there's a lot of tire tracks here, and then people park in slots all along here. That's the runway there. So the jumping and drop zone is in this area here. You can see that there's 30 amp pedestals. You park either side of these posts because there's actually two 30 amp pedestals at each post. There's no water here, But I've been told that somewhere here, if you really need water, you can drive your rig over and fill up water. And when we were walking around in the back, we actually did see a dump site. Yeah. So this is pretty exciting, honey. Why don't you go over to this side and show Myles over there? You know,
Where we parked.
the spoiled kid that Myles is, he always wants a hard surface, but we really liked it last night. We did something, we call it the semi-prevo mode. You'll notice that our big slide is open, but not our little slides. And when we open our big slide, we actually have enough room to very comfortably live, and we can even get my chair off the bed and roll it over by the computer. So we were snug as a bug last night, and like all good campers, we kind of warmed up with our editing software and worked on videos.
Oh my gosh.
So you keep taking videos without me being in it.
Oops.
Come on. This is the viewing area here. That's kind of a bar and lounge up there. And you can come out on the deck here. You got to remember, it's, what is it, Sue? October 14th?
Yeah.
The season is essentially done. We stayed in Milwaukee with our family until the last minute, and now we're going over to California, so it's not exactly great weather all the way across the U.S. here.
Wind.
Well, one of the things that we discovered is that they have large groups here that come, and if they're all experienced jumpers, they might even do, well, I know they do evening or night jumps where their suit is got all sorts of LED tubes on it, and they come out in a group of like 10 people, and they're all connected, and they're flying around in there. And if you look at one of the videos that we had with Sue when she did kind of a simulated parachuting thing in one of those chambers that blows the air up, right in the end of that, the instructor jumped in that cage, and the way she was flying around and posturing herself flying.
Wow, that was good, Mark.
Well, it was unbelievable. And when we looked at the videos in here, we could see people doing that.
Yeah.
You know, just the kind of.
Well, you're good on land. Just don't put you in a plane. The early morning.
Yeah.
Getting started.
You can see here in season, the Eat Up Cafe actually has a food truck that's set up to augment the awesome tiki bar and this pond that had really clean water in it. And in the distance, you see a giant boardwalk that you can jump in the water from, as well as sit at this patio here and eat and watch what's happening.
So what kind of tree is this that drops these softball size, whatever they are? They look like little brains. So we hear that this pond is a lot of fun for swimming. You can see there's kind of a walkway over there that has ladders. You can actually jump in and be able to get out. But also there's a tower there, and we see there's a zip line. They've got a sandy beach. They've got a raft over there, beached for the season. So it looks like actually beyond here, they've got little cabins that you can rent too. Their barbecue here, pretty serious. Wow. Of course, here's Mark studying the mechanics of the zip line.
But, you know, I can't picture the Chan man doing this anymore. I would just break too many things. Can you imagine if you panic and you don't let go before you hit the shore here?
Yeah.
I guess if you really want to drink quick, though, that's the best way to get here.
There you go. You're done at the beach. Yeah. Zip on over to the tiki bar.
So we were lucky enough to be able to talk to one of the campers here. But he was talking about how skydivers from all over the U.S. go to places that are set up as particular and as awesome as this place. And they have like boogie parties where
Boogie parties?
yeah, that's what they call it, boogie parties, where they come to skydive and talk about their the love of their sport and probably exchange ideas on the skills that are needed and everything. But then at night, have a facility that's so well laid out so that you can party, you know, with that tiki bar that we showed and the pond. And he was saying how warm the water gets in the dead of summer. It's got sand, it's clean, and now we see that not only is there areas here if you're just going to show up with a vehicle and a tent, and remember I told you that I found bathroom facilities there. For all I know, somewhere around here might be shower facilities and we just didn't find it yet. But then here, you got these cute little cabins that you can rent, and you can see by the map that's shown by the garbage can here, there's 9 of them.
So unfortunately, we weren't able to see any skydivers, but we're getting a good walk around and tour of this facility. And here we've got the boardwalk I was talking about. Looks like you can jump off. They've got ladders in the water to get back onto it.
So when we came across this sign, we really loved it because it really shows how much they really do love their little zip line gadget here. You can imagine how much fun this is in the dead of summer when it's really hot and you want to take a little dip. Don't think that this is a challenge to anybody like that. They probably have more of a challenge not burning their toast in the morning than they do taking this thing. But it's from this attitude here, it's pretty steep. So if you wait to the end, man, you're going to hit that water pretty darn fast.
In 1 mile, turn left on North 31st Road.
Friendly group?
Yeah. My earphones. That's what they wanted. Boy, I wonder if when I was testing my horn a few days ago, I didn't have my air horns on. God. That's why you
Continue
test
for
things.
1 mile.
So I hope you enjoyed our little stay here at the Chicago Skydive facility in Ottawa, Illinois. We're on our way now to our next Harvest Host stop, which is the Arpeggio Winery in Pana, Illinois. I can tell you that we really liked the fact that we didn't have any sewer pipes and water lines and electric lines to disconnect. We literally just ate breakfast, folded up the rig, and we're on our way. Like to invite you to subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you're alerted when we produce our videos, which is typically every Sunday morning. And until then, we'll see you next week. Thanks for stopping by.